Today, I'm delighted to say Ian Blackford, SNP MP, joins me now. Very good morning to you.
Morning, David.
A really seismic event. I mean, look, I don't agree with pretty much anything Nicola Sturgeon says, but I have to admire her tenacity, the fact that she has been a very successful leader politically. Why do you think she's gone?
I think she's gone because she wants a break from all of this, David. It's as simple as that. And she's been First Minister since 2014, but actually she was Deputy First Minister in 2007. So she's really been in the front line of government for 16, 17 years. It's an extraordinary long period. And I know, knowing the woman well as a colleague, as a friend, just exactly how much she's put into this. She's an absolute workaholic. You're really talking about 24/7, 365 days a year. And, I was listening to what you were saying there in your introduction. I don't recognise much of that, I have to say. And obviously I've spoken with the First Minister over the course of the last few days, spoke with her last night, and I can tell you she's in good spirits. She's not downcast, she's not downbeat. I think what she does is she leaves the SNP in a very strong position. Let's not forget that since she became First Minister, the SNP's won every election that it's faced. We still ride high in the polls. Support for independence is still at a high level. I would never take anything for granted. We will fight the next election and we'll take the judgment of the electorate when that comes. But I think the foundations for moving on to independence are actually very strong. That's the legacy that she leaves. I will miss her. We will miss her as First Minister. She's been an excellent communicator. I think when you talk about the challenges of politics, the thrust of what happens and some of the issues that you referred to. I mean, keep in mind that this is the woman that led us through the COVID pandemic. And I think many people, not just in Scotland, but perhaps right across these islands, were watching Nicola come into our living rooms 7 days a week with a daily press conference, something that didn't happen at Westminster on such a regular basis, giving effective advice and communication to everyone, people that were really worried about what was happening with COVID. And I think a lot of people today will want to thank her for the strong leadership that she's shown.
I mean, I couldn't agree more. I think her communication skills are exemplary. I think she took control in COVID without a doubt. She wrong-footed Westminster. That's not within doubt. I also think her work ethic can't be disputed either. I mean, clearly a workaholic. Just on a personal note, I actually saw the real human being actually yesterday. I would have thought personally she's so driven by Scottish independence. I am surprised that, given that she says it's tangible, that she didn't stay to see it through, if that is what is going to happen.
I think what has happened, David, is she's reflected on the fact that there are people that are opposed to the SNP, there are people that are opposed to her. There's a lot of toxicity in social media, and she didn't want her to be perceived to be the issue, to be the problem, to be the barrier. Now, I actually don't agree with her. I don't think that is the case. I think she is a fantastic recruiting sergeant for the cause of Scottish independence. But, she's taken the decision after so long in public office. And let's remember, almost all her adult life has been in the front line of SNP politics. She's still got time to go on and do other things. And of course, she's not going to go away in terms of that fight for independence. Nicola and lots of the rest of us are going to make sure that we continue to drive that campaign, that we come up with the ideas, we support whoever is going to be the new SNP leader. And she's got an awful lot to give, but she's moving on to a new chapter of her life and a new chapter in the life of the SNP and the Scottish Government.
You mentioned you spoke to her yesterday. Clearly you're close with her. Did you know this was coming?
Yeah, we've had some conversations over the course of the last few days. Obviously, I would have preferred that she didn't resign. I make no secret of that, but I absolutely understand for her this is the right thing to do. I mean, you've spoken about the speech that she gave yesterday. I mean, I obviously listened to that speech, and you did have the warmth, the humanity, the compassion, the decency of the woman. And I think, whilst there are challenges that the Scottish Government faces, we can reflect on what she's done well. The fact that she's brought in the child payment to give support to those that need it over the course of this crisis in particular, the baby box that's been brought in. There are so many things that she's achieved, and she has this burning desire to improve the life of people, of course, dealing with the attainment gap, the fact that more people from disadvantaged backgrounds are going to further and higher education now, and so on. So there's lots to celebrate as to what she's done. But of course, the Scottish Government will be taking on that legacy with whoever becomes the new leader.
I mean, the bottom line is actually her record is pretty appalling. Life expectancy for Scottish men and women is the sharpest fall in 40 years. Drug deaths now at record highs, 3 times higher than England. You talk about the attainment gap there. It's as wide as ever. We also know the NHS is broken. Also, Scotland enjoys one of the largest budget deficits of the developed world, and homelessness at record levels. That is hardly an endorsement.
Well, I think when you look at these things, and, let's go through them one by one. When you talk about the decrease in life expectancy, that's something that's happened right across the UK.
No, Glasgow is the lowest of the UK.
If you let me answer the question,
Sure.
David, if you look at what has happened, and there was the study from Glasgow University just a couple of months ago, that the poverty that we see throughout the UK has led to 300,000 excess deaths over the course of the last 20 years. That's been a key factor. And of course, the Scottish Government doesn't control all the levers. We, of course, want to eradicate poverty. That's what the child payment's about. But we need a strategy to be able to do that. When you talk about the National Health Service, of course, we've had to deal with the increase in waiting times as a consequence of the COVID pandemic. We know that we need to do better. We don't shirk from that. But if you look at the performance of the NHS in Scotland, it's actually better than the health service in other parts of the United Kingdom. So I'm very happy to have that debate about how we've performed. When you talk about education, more people in Scotland going on to further and higher education than any other country in Europe. So there's much to, I think, applaud of the record of Nicola Sturgeon. And yes, of course, there are other areas that are work in progress that the Scottish Government will make sure that they deliver on.
Just in terms of Alex Salmond, he's stirring the pot rather. He says he's livid, of course. Nicola Sturgeon didn't leave a succession, a legacy. We don't know what's going to happen from here. I think these are dangerous times for the SNP. Do you?
No, I don't. We've got a very strong group of ministers in the Scottish Parliament, an excellent group in Westminster, of course, as well. And I think what you'll see over the course of the coming weeks, that the membership will decide who they want as to be the next SNP leader. That's the way that the party works. And I'm sure that we'll coalesce around someone that we can give our full support to. And of course, I think the big difference when you think about the Tory leadership elections we've seen, that a new Prime Minister is foisted upon us. We in Parliament in Westminster don't have a say on that. The Scottish Parliament will endorse who is the new First Minister.
So who do you fancy out of the runners and riders? I think one of the issues, and we've been talking about it this morning, is that not many people know any of these people.
Well, I mean, of course, I know all of them.
Of course.
I don't know who's going to put themselves forward at this stage, David. So, we'll wait and see. And I look forward to working with whoever the party chooses, because in the end, it's a choice of every member of the party.
Who would you prefer?
I have no strong preference.
That's a very political answer. Ian, very good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. That's Ian Blackford, who's an SNP MP.